Welcome to the Disability Partnership Calderdale podcast. In this edition, Nicki meets up with Skye Shadowlight Brite, an artist with a remarkable backstory who's currently exhibiting at the Upstairs and Mosaic Galleries on the first floor of Dean Clough Mill in Halifax. It's a great listen, and so with no further delay, I'll hand you over to Nicki.
Hi, it's Nicki from DPC. I'm down at Dean Clough Mills and I'm here with Skye Shadowlight Brite.
Hello.
Hello. Skye's reached out to us because she's seen our podcasts and I've come down to look at her exhibition. What's here until what date in April?
April the 13th.
Brilliant. So do you want to talk us through why this exhibition and what's led to you being here?
Okay, yeah. Geez, where do I even start? I graduated from uni with a BA in fine art in 2017, and things were going really good. I'd won a couple of awards. I won something called the Square Peg Bursary, which is for disabled artists in the North, and had a solo show in Hull while they were the City of Culture, and all this stuff was going really great. In 2019, I was still showing a little bit, and then obviously 2020, boom.
Yes.
All of us, there was no galleries to show. But unfortunately, in 2021, out of nowhere, I suffered a tonic-clonic seizure, and that started a couple of years of, once you have two seizures, you're diagnosed with epilepsy. Something about, once your brain learns to do that, it doesn't, kind of thing. So it's weird. You have a seizure and they go, oh, well, everybody has a capability of having one seizure. It could be a fever, it could be that. And then once you've had the second seizure, they go, you have epilepsy. Okay. So unfortunately, I developed epilepsy in 2021. So when we came out of lockdown, I just really struggled. I couldn't even think about creating art because it was about kind of staying alive. They said a lot of really scary things all the time to me about sudden unexpected death and epilepsy, the fact that my seizures are nocturnal and I go hypoxic, so I stop breathing. They made it seem like I was going to pass away in my sleep. And I was so scared. I already have severe anxiety. I also have autism and ADHD. And it just was a hard thing for me to come to terms with and cope with. I also have a 21-year-old with autism and learning disabilities. And I thought, what's going to happen to her? All those sorts of things that you would go through. So I got on some really great anti-seizure medication. I've been seizure-free maybe for 2 years now.
That's brilliant.
So I've got my license back and I feel like I've got my life back. And last year, I was doing some work for a local charity called Unique Ways that supports family with disabled children. I used to be their form-filling practitioner. Brilliant. And I started having seizures again and I had to quit. And then I still deliver courses there. So if understanding neurodivergent, understanding challenging behavior, I'm one of the trainers there.
Brilliant.
So, this is the ADHD thing. I don't remember why I started telling you that.
It's fine, absolutely fine. So you've obviously, you then start to do your artist. You start to create work.
It was kind of an idea about, am I going to try to get a job back at Unique Ways? Or should I go for my master's degree? Like I said, things were going so well. I mean, when I did my degree, I got a first. Thank you very much.
Well done,
The first person on either side of my family with a university degree.
Fabulous.
And, at 47 years old. So
huge achievement.
I often tell parents of neurodivergent kids who are like, oh my God, school and it's a pain and it's a nightmare. And what are these kids going to do when they grow up? Well, they're going to find their way in their own space, in their own time, like I did. And I never got a GCSE. I didn't graduate from high school in America. I came here. I did an Access to Art Professions course at Calderdale College, and I went to university, and I did it in my own way. And, I think that's really important.
It's inspirational. That's so
when you're thinking
great
about
to hear.
people who are neurodivergent, and you're going, oh, my God, I don't know what's going to happen. They're not going to cope. What's going to happen? Well, they're going to carve their own way. We all do, hopefully find a tribe. I always say, find your tribe. And mine's only got a few people in it, but that's all you need.
Yes.
I think we have a weird idea about, when you're growing up that with this popularity thing, and everybody needs to be loved and liked by everybody in the world. And we were talking earlier about social media,
Yes.
and everybody
yes.
trying to portray this face and put this mask on of their own to try to show, how well they're doing. And actually, when you scratch the surface, everybody struggles, and everybody has their own personal battles that they're fighting.
We all have our demons, yes.
So I was ready to come back for the attack. I said, so I'm doing my master's now. I'm going in once a week, sometimes twice a week, full time, full days. That's about all I can do. And then I've come up here, once a week or whatever. If anybody wants a personal tour, they might need to get in touch with me. I'm happy to come and go around the show with people, especially if they have additional needs and want to have a personal kind of talk about the work or anything like that. I also wanted to mention that it is wheelchair accessible. Obviously, it's a really old bill and it's a real roundabout way to get up here, but there is a lift, and there are ways to get up. And there was at least 2 or 3 wheelchair users at my opening, so you can get in here. And then also, I have a talk. I don't know if we'll talk about that now, but I have a BSL interpreter coming along to my talk and performance, which is happening on March the 8th.
That's great.
And also I had kind of a professional voice actor do my audio description of all the work in the gallery.
That reaches everybody then. That's so good.
I looked into, because I thought, well, if somebody's sight impaired, how do they even know there's a QR code there?
Yes.
You know what I mean? Is that the appropriate way? So I contacted Halifax Blind Society, and they said a lot of times people will have someone with them, or there are apps. So there are apps that a blind person can carry, that they scan a room and it'll tell them where it can see the app can find the QR code and say, walk forward, walk right. And I thought, well, that's great. So I've made them hopefully big enough. They're next to every single piece of work in the gallery, and it's an audio description of every piece of work in the gallery. So I really invite anybody with sight impairment to come along and enjoy, fine art. Being able to be included in,
It's great. I mean, we briefly walked through, and it was so simple for me to just get the camera, open it up, press play.
It takes a second to load up, which I was concerned about, because even when you did it takes this, it goes, and then there's a play button, and then it kind of takes a second, and then he starts talking, but it definitely works. And I've definitely
I love the stories behind each piece of art, and so when they come, and hopefully, like you say, they'll catch you here, or if they come to, when did you say your next is in March?
Ooh, it's Saturday, March the 8th.
Brilliant.
At 12 till 2. Great. I'm going to do, so something at the opening that I didn't do was, I was so nervous, and there was so many people here. I was really overwhelmed. Wow. There was about 120 people or so at the opening. So people were grabbing me this way and that way, going, oh, come and talk to the mayor, do this, go do that.
A bit daunting.
And I just ran away and got dressed in my costume that I perform in. I came out and did the performance, which is quite emotional, and then just left the room. So, I said hi to people and stuff, but really, this next, I want to call it an opening, but it's obviously not. This next
nice get together,
artist talk and performance. I'm doing the performance again. Normally I only perform at an opening. It's part of, like someone once said at a London critique, that I activate the space, which is very fine art speak about, I come and perform in the space, maybe one of the pieces on the wall or something, I bring it to life, and then that's it. It was really icy that day, and even though 120 people came out, it was icy, and I had a couple friends who said, look, we couldn't get out of our driveways. And I felt like there would be enough people that either wanted to see it again, or that didn't get to see it in the first place, that I would do it at the talk.
Yes.
So haven't decided whether I'm gonna I might do the performance at the beginning, because then people can ask me questions about it. I was thinking I might do it at the end, but then I'd have to come and get dressed. It might be better.
do it at the beginning.
Yeah, it might be better that I'm fully dressed when everybody gets here. I run out and do it, and then we talk.
Yeah.
So that, I don't know if it'll go, like how long it'll actually go on. It could be an hour, it could be 2 hours.
it's
I don't
fine
know
people.
if I said before, it is BSL interpreted.
Yeah,
so
no,
please,
it's brilliant.
yeah.
And that is rare to come along. And I mean, I find them really interesting, the stories behind, right, to where you've purchased certain items.
Oh, yeah.
And that, because it's all based around the 80s as well. And then working with the guys at the college.
Yes.
And that's been really, they've done some fabulous work working with you for the 80s.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, there's a creative college for neurodivergent young adults based here in Dean Clough. So when I applied and I put a proposal for it at Dean Clough, they gave me these 2 galleries. And I thought, and I walked up in here and realized that Pink College is through the gallery. And I thought, that's amazing, because the work is about being neurodivergent. And here's a creative college full of neurodivergent young people who are making art. So I thought, why not get involved with them? So I started going in and having chats, and then I decided to invite them to everyone there. It wasn't compulsory. I invited all the students to make a piece of work to show in the gallery. There's my work's pretty much taken up the bulk of the 2 galleries, but there's a little what do you call it, like a walkway to their door.
Yeah, there is
entrance.
And
there's a glass thing, and all that work back there belongs to the students at Pink College, and they've created some amazing stuff. And so their work, I told them about mine, and then just let that be the inspiration. And they've gone away, and obviously they're so young. Yeah. So they're like, the 80s are like, oh my God, how many millions of miles away? Luckily there's the internet and stuff, so that they went and found stuff or their parents tell them stuff about the 80s. So there was different films that they liked, or different. I just found what they created amazing.
Yeah, I've loved looking through. Yeah.
As I've told you about Chuck E. Cheese, one of the students is obsessed with animatronics, and he's made, and I still go to his teachers. How does he know about Chuck E. Cheese?
No, I'd never heard of Chuck E. Cheese.
Chuck
He's
E.
American.
Cheese is an American pizza place where you'd take your kid. I don't even know if it's still around, because I've lived there in 25 years. But you'd take your kid. So I spent a lot of my birthdays there. You'd take your kid and you'd have a birthday there. And it was like unlimited pizza or something. And these animatronic gigantic mice would run around. And he's created one out of cardboard. The animatronic, it moves. It's got eyes. And he's created it like where half of it's got the mouth and the other half is exposed, like Terminator. It's absolutely amazing.
It is. It's fun.
So yeah, and there's loads of other. I mean, I don't want to.
No, people need
point
to
out that piece of work. There's a lot. I mean, there's an amazing oil painting. Yeah. There's other 3D work. There's things based on Bullseye, which I believe was a game show here in the UK. So
I think it's just been reinvented again. I think it's back on the TV now with a different host.
It was interesting for me. Who was it? Marcel Duchamp once said that it's the relationship between the artist and the viewer. So, art's 2 parts. It's you've made the art, and then what the viewer thinks of the art, because that's just as valid as what you thought. That's the thing that you have going on. And to look at some of their work, I think they thought, like one of the artists made a work about, what's her name? The woman in The Shining, Shelley Duvall played, and she stood there with blood on her. And I thought, does this really fit the theme? And, how does it fit the theme is what I thought. And I went and looked it up, and her character in The Shining, everybody kind of treated her like she was a bit, I don't want to say thick, but a bit simple, and like, this woman, and she, like she was a bit stupid. But actually, it turned out she was the one that saved it.
I'm going to say, yeah.
She actually had a mind that could put everything together, and she was the one. So and I thought, well, that's perfect. That's perfect. We're talking about neurodivergent people and people underestimating maybe what neurodivergent people are capable of.
Yes.
And actually,
we shouldn't all have a label. We shouldn't all.
And people taking things the wrong way, people assuming things about people which aren't necessarily true. No. So I really loved and thought that really, really fits the brief, and I think all the work does. So when you come into the show, please come to the show. Yes. When you come to the show, if you come in and take a right and see a glass wall there, turn down that little alcove, and there's a ton, I think 12 or 14
at least, yes.
of the students there created the work. So yeah, that's a whole nother dimension to what's going on.
So how long have you been based in in England? When did you move over?
I moved here on March the 2nd, 2002.
Okay.
So I'm coming up almost exactly 23 years now.
Wow.
So, and I moved to Todd, of all places. Yeah. People always say, how did you end up here? And it's just a big convoluted story about coming to visit friends in London. One had a husband who was from Wigan.
Okay.
But for some reason, they'd moved to Rochdale and then to Todd. And so she was like, oh, we've got a spare room. Why don't you come and visit us? And I came up to Todd, and then I met my ex-husband, who was from Rochdale, and then we had a kid, and I just stayed. I love it. Yeah.
Brilliant.
I don't love the weather, but I love everything. I love the people, and I like the culture.
Good.
And oh my God, it's so amazing to be here right now with what's going on in the States. I can just draw a line, and I don't even have to look at it.
No.
I turn the social media off. I'll turn the news channels off. I don't. It's.
You don't need
I don't even want to get into that, but
Yeah,
I'm glad.
no, totally.
I'm really happy that I made the decision a very long time ago to move to the UK.
No, that's fabulous. So no, I will send this across to Phil, and we will obviously show your put your podcast out for everybody to listen to.
Great.
And then again, if you ever want me to come back, and hopefully I will hear from in the March for definite. I'll come down in March.
Oh, definitely.
But I love the table in the entrance for any children what come along, because that instantly I thought
adults.
of my. It's for adults as well. Sorry,
Yeah,
but I just thought of my grandchild, and I just thought H would love this. This would make him feel so comfortable.
Yeah.
And then when you talked about the stories for each piece of artwork. It is lovely. It is really nice, and like you say, art is in so many different forms. You know, I'm really glad they let you do this here, darling.
Yeah. So the work is almost all made from found objects, and most of the found objects are actually from the 80s. So a mosaic made from Rubik's cubes. Yeah. There's a giant lollipop. But the thing is they do kind of look like toys. There's one piece in there that has a lip telephone on top of it, and every time I come in, it's moved to a different area. It's now got a big scuff on the top because everybody picks it up and talks on the phone and drops it on the floor. So so if you come, please don't pick up the lip telephone. But because I think that's where the fiddle toys really
fidget toys
really make a difference, because at the opening I saw people touching the work, and I just went up and said, here you go.
Here's a toy.
Here's a
That's brilliant.
So please come along. I mean, we didn't kind of say exactly about the work. The work's called ADHD, and it's based on being an undiagnosed girl with ADHD in the 1980s. So all the work is about kind of my take on what that felt like. And this version is called Toys, Puzzles, and Games. And then I've got another one that's all video. So there's going to be a piece in the future. It might be 10 years in the future, but it's called ADHD 2. And that's going to be videos, audios, and just everything from TV shows, films, and audios of the time, and kind of looking at how growing up in that kind of space where everything was, MTV was starting up and everything was the way it was, and how it felt to kind of be on the outside of that, always looking in, always wanting to kind of take part.
It must have been really hard, like you say, back in the 80s and prior, because
They didn't
diagnose, and it was just, it's not a child. She's terrible. He's terrible, and it's just like, I'm so glad it's out there now as a grandparent as well, that it's recognised, and
absolutely.
Yes, it's a slow process.
Yeah,
but it's recognised.
We still have a lot of struggles, but I can remember the day I told Libby she had autism. We were going to visit a friend in London, and I'd found a book. That's back when we used to call it Asperger's syndrome still. And it was about this kid. I can't remember what his name was, but I should find the book actually. But he goes on to say like, oh, my name's blah, blah, and I've got Asperger's syndrome. I don't like when the other kids touch me, and I don't like to share my things, and I just wish, and the noise is very loud, and I don't like the way this tastes, and this, that, and Libby kept giving on the train. I was reading it to her, and she go, well, maybe he should do this, and I thought, she's not listening. She's just trying to give me like ideas about how he could fix his situation. And then that night we were sitting in bed, and she said, you know that kid in that book? And I said, yeah. And she said, I think I'm like that kid. Oh. And I said, you are? And she said, I think I have AS, because he described it as he had AS, Asperger's syndrome. And I said, you know what? And she said, what? And I said, you do. And she went, whew, oh, a big heavy sigh. And I said, what? And she said, I knew something was different about me. And I think just that knowledge, just knowing that actually you're not wrong for the world.
Yes.
You think
somebody's
differently.
Somebody's understood.
You think differently, that's okay. And actually with the internet, with all the horrible negative things about the internet and social media, there's a lot of positive, and people are finding each other, and they're feeling, you can go on Instagram and type in ADHD, and there's pages of people talking about, I got a bit annoyed after a while, like, okay, yes, ADHD people don't like to put their laundry away, like these kind of generalizations about what ADHD, but there's a community, and there's other people, and you can not feel so alone, which I think a lot of us did in the 80s. We felt, well, outcast, alone, and a lot of this work, even though it's quite bright, if you scratch the surface of it, I think you can see there's an alternate meaning.
Oh yes, you've explained it so well.
So you walk up and go, "Oh, look at this! It's a Cabbage Patch doll." But when you actually look at it from a different angle, you can see that there might be something about being alone, or there might be, and I think that's a great part of being a neurodivergent artist, is the layer. Look for the layers that are there. Yeah,
fabulous.
There isn't one reason I made it. There's 10 reasons. And you can start to look for them.
Oh, thank you. Thanks.
Right.
Thanks for contacting me.
Yes.
And thanks for inviting me down.
Thank you for coming. Yeah, no, I still keep seeing all your ads on social media. So
thank you, sweetheart. No, I will definitely be back again. We forgot to say, on a Saturday, it is free parking down at Dean Clough.